All right, welcome to Ringside Report Radio. I'm Dave Simon, Fred Garcia's here, AJ DeLesio is here.
Boom!
And we are here on TSN 690 as we are every Friday night talking mixed martial arts. We got some MMA to get to. We know that Brock Lesnar will never fight again. That was big news this week. And the UFC in Canada. The UFC is going to Ottawa tomorrow night. Headlined by Donald Cerrone versus Iaquinta, a big main event, and we'll preview that. And we're also now on video. This is going to be the first time that we're going to be on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport, DOTNET.
Pop the champagne, man.
Oh, yeah.
Pop it. Freddie, pop it.
On YouTube and on the radio. So it's like a podcast and a YouTube show now, Ringside Report Radio.
It's getting crazy here, man.
Yeah.
This is crazy, Freddie. Soon we're going to be challenging that Logan Paul again. No, yes, Logan Paul. Not Paul Logan, our buddy. Logan Paul, because we're on YouTube. Maybe we can get like a YouTube fight with him.
I'll tell you what. I'm not going to comment that part. I'm just going to say, I've been saying for a while, the internet is the future. You mentioned Logan Paul, Paul Logan, whatever. You know, this guy's having success. Why? Because he's on the internet. That's where a lot of people could get a reach. So
Freddie,
hopefully we get people from all over the world now, even more. We already have fans all over the world, but right now we're aiming for the entire galaxy.
But think about it. Like when we were like listening to this Logan Paul going at it with his YouTube fight and everything, I mean, we brought it up in the past, and we're doing what he's doing. And the difference is that he got this fight.
We're doing
he was
our
a nobody.
own stuff.
We're doing our own stuff. But I'm saying on the fight world, he did bring over 1.5 million subscribers to his YouTube fight. Well, mind you, it was in an arena which was packed with, I think it was 25,000 people capacity. So as a YouTube guy goes, I got to tip my hat to him. But as a fighter goes, I mean, you know, guys, when you look at like Connor and you look at all the rest.
You're saying you're a more legit YouTube fighter because now you're on YouTube. So now you're a YouTuber. You're like, hey,
maybe I could fight Logan Paul for sure. I'd do it.
Why not?
I would do it, but he's actually training quite a bit. I saw him in the last couple of days, or actually last couple of weeks, and he's looking good. He's fighting with like some pretty like renowned guys. He has the money to be able to train with the best.
Yeah, but you would smash him, AJ. Come on.
I would smash him, man. I give him my
You're
left.
a world champion jiu-jitsu guy, man.
Oh, you want to do MMA or just boxing?
Whatever, man. You could take him on. You could destroy Logan Paul.
I'll even do a capoeira with him. I don't give a
I think you're one of the
ass.
toughest YouTubers out there.
Well, actually,
now you're officially a YouTuber. You're not only a radio sensation, but you're a YouTuber.
But Freddie was giving me some pretty good moves early, so you didn't see this here, but maybe we'll do it one day where Freddie does jiu-jitsu techniques 101.
Yeah, at some point we need to do a podcast just about jiu-jitsu in front of a camera doing moves. But hey, that's what's wonderful about jiu-jitsu. You learn from everybody. You know, like I'm just a blue belt, and sometimes there's some white belts that will show me something that somebody else showed them. That's how jiu-jitsu evolves, you know. You get info from everybody.
You can't see the T-shirt, but if you can, I mean, I learned a couple of techniques in the days with Renato Laranja. Can you see it, Dave?
Yeah, I can see your T-shirt. You got a Renato Laranja T-shirt.
So if Renato's listening,
and Fred's wearing a jiu-jitsu T-shirt too.
And we started a little,
you can't see it,
like stressed on time, so I didn't get time to take off my vest as Dave requested.
Dave.
Sorry.
I'm wearing
Take it off, buddy.
I'm wearing an Aaron Judge Yankees T-shirt right now as we do the show. Boys, we got some MMA to get to. There were some fights last weekend.
Crazy, man.
Right? Jacare losing to Jack Hermansson.
Hermansson is he's
we know who
surprised
he
me,
is
man.
now.
Yeah, we know who Jack Hermansson is now,
And
right?
so does the world.
All of a sudden, he becomes a serious contender in the middleweight division. All of a sudden, he's a guy that people are maybe thinking about as far as, I don't know, title shot?
Listen, he's the guy that everyone's going to remember if they took him as an underdog. I mean, this guy pulled it off. He had like ridiculous odds on him. So if you put some money on Hermansson, you walked out a winner. And all of us here picked Jacare. Why wouldn't you go with Jacare? I mean, Hermansson wasn't anything of a threat in a sense, but right now he's a potential contender. That's not a joke. He beat Jacare, and he almost submitted Jacare at one point. I was shocked. I think I was texting you, Dave, and I was flipping out.
Yeah.
I was flipping out.
Yeah, he did look like he almost submitted him there with that guillotine, but Jacare was able to escape. I didn't think he
But it looks.
I didn't think Jacare was in that much danger.
But it still was an attack on Jacare. And if he would have submitted Jacare, that would have been like the headline for the year. That would have been the submission of the year.
I think most importantly, there was no controversy. He clearly won that fight.
Absolutely.
You know, it was a merited decision for him. Nobody's going to take it away from him. There's no controversy there. So you say maybe he's in the title picture. I say he needs to beat at least another top 5 guy because we didn't know really who was Jack Hermansson like 2-3 weeks ago.
But he's won his last 4, right?
Yeah,
so,
he's on a good streak. Everything. I give him props. I want him to beat another big name. And then, of course, like if you tell me he's going to go beat Yoel Romero or something like that, hey, yeah, I'm giving him a title shot. But right now, Israel... Who else is in the title? Who's next to fight?
Well, Israel is going to fight Robert Whittaker, right?
So,
that's the next fight for the title. But after that, it's kind of, you got Yoel and you had Jacare, but now I guess you have Jack Hermansson. Like, does he jump in and all of a sudden become one of the top guys? Like, I'm looking at the UFC rankings right now.
How much time did he have?
They have Hermansson ranked 5th. Like,
really?
Kelvin Gastelum is ranked ahead of him, and Luke Rockhold is too, but I think Rockhold's moving up to 205 pounds, so he's going to be out of the middleweight rankings.
How much time did he have for
Chris
that camp?
Weidman's there. Paulo Costa's around, After that, it kind of drops off a little bit.
Oh, it was on short notice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Dave, yeah.
Look, all these guys are always in shape. They're ready to fight. And he's a guy that's up and coming. So, he had an opportunity. He jumped on it. Props to him. I don't think like a short notice fight, it's a disadvantage for both guys. Jacare has to prepare for somebody else, etc. So, yeah, props to him for coming on short notice. But I'll just give him props for beating Jacare, which is a huge win.
But it looked like Jacare didn't have heart. Like somebody was saying like he wasn't into the fight. Like, he just, Dave, you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I never know what you're going to say.
Like he didn't really lose, but he kind of like lost because he gave up on the fact that he wasn't fighting like who he was supposed to fight originally, and then he went to Hermansson, and it took him off his game.
That's ridiculous. Like
that's what
you're in the middle of a fight. You're not gonna get I'm gonna get beat up for fun.
You're saying before the fight he decided to not win?
Like he didn't have his mojo, man. He just didn't have that mojo.
Well,
he wasn't prepared for it.
It may have affected him, right? It may have affected his performance because he was preparing for who? Yoel, right?
Yeah, exactly. So imagine his training camp. It was based on all guys like Yoel, like strong, like
Hermansson does not fight like Yoel.
He does not at all. His striking game was awesome. I mean, the guy was a really, really legit fighter. So I mean, he's got 4 in a row. He's 6-2. We got to give him credit, but he still has 2 losses. I'm not too sure who he lost to, but regardless, I mean, I don't know. It just felt like Jacare wasn't there. I mean, even his crocodile clamp wasn't that great. It was like kind of like flat.
Look, it definitely wasn't his best performance. You can't say that. You can't say that what we saw is a great Jacare. Of course, it wasn't. He lost, and he's getting older. It might just be that. It might be a lot of stuff. Bad matchup.
But he looked great. He looked good. Like physically, he looked good.
Before I'm gonna quit on Jacare, I'm gonna wait another fight at least. Like the guy has deserved that from us. Let's give him a little leeway. We're in MMA. People lose in MMA. Nobody stays undefeated forever. So,
I agree.
But that's the end of his title shot right there for a while.
Yeah, and you look at him, and he's in his.
He's 40 years old now, right?
Yeah. Hermansson lost to Thiago Santos,
which is
and Cesar Mutanch back in 2016. But Thiago Santos, I think those are probably. I mean, Thiago Santos fights at light heavyweight now. He's about to fight John Jones for the title.
Well, that's legit.
And now you look at Jack Hermansson. He beat David Branch and Jacare back to back, and it was a convincing win. He won a decision, but I think Hermansson definitely came out looking like a star after that fight, looking like a top contender. I saw Chris Weidman say he wanted to fight Jack Hermansson.
Wow.
I'd be down to see that. That seems like a fight to make, right?
That'd be a good fight, actually. Very interesting.
Let's go with that.
And I like his name, too, the Joker. I mean, he has a really cool... And he looks like the Joker, man.
He's only 30 years old. He's entering the prime of his fighting career. Jack Hermansson's going to be a problem for people.
He's put his name on the map. As for Chris Weidman, he's been calling out pretty much everybody because I think he called out also Israel. Chris Weidman, I think, is just trying to get his name out there.
Well, he needs a fight, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, if he fights Hermansson, that's a decent fight. I'll watch that for sure.
For sure, man.
How about maybe Hermansson fights the winner of Derek Brunson, Elias Theodorou? Like, that's also a possibility because, you know, Hermansson just fought last weekend, and Derek Brunson and Theodorou are the co-main event of the Ottawa card tomorrow night.
Our buddy Elias.
And Elias right now is ranked 13th.
Elias.
Elias.
Elias. It's okay.
He said Elias. When we had him on the show.
Didn't he say Elias?
No, he said Elias.
We got to get back that track. I think he said Elias.
Anyways, he's ranked 13th and Derek Brunson's ranked 9th. You figure that's a fight that means something. So maybe Hermansson fights that guy, even though Hermansson's ranked 5th. You don't always fight a guy ranked higher than you. Weidman, though, that Weidman fight makes sense because Weidman's ranked 7th. So he's ranked right now in the UFC, you know, a couple spots lower, but he's a much bigger name, right? Like, Weidman's a much bigger name than Jack Hermansson, and it would be a big win for Hermansson to be able to beat a guy like Weidman. So
and how
that's
long
a fight
Weidman
that I would
out?
take. If I were Hermansson, I'd take that fight.
Yeah, but what about Weidman? How long has he been out? When is his last fight? It's been a while, right?
It's been a while,
So,
right?
I mean, you know what? Hermansson is looking sharp, you know? So,
in the end,
I'm not sure.
I think the fans are the winner because, look, this division is deep. We're talking about at least 7 guys right now. And you haven't even mentioned Paulo Costa, who has, I think, a 6-month suspension right now. So,
Is he for what?
For his...
Oh, right. There was some
UFO,
sort of deal.
EFO,
What was
drugs.
the deal with Paulo Costa exactly?
I think he kissed... who was it that they said? He kissed Brock Lesnar or something like that?
no, I'm not sure.
What?
It's a long story.
Where are you going with this?
A long story.
We should let AJ just go on his craziness when he goes there.
Yeah.
TMZ, man. You heard it here first.
What do you mean he kissed Brock Lesnar?
It's a joke, but they said that like Brock Lesnar, it was an ongoing joke for a while, and people thought it was real.
Somebody
like,
on Twitter
back in
made
the
that joke.
Yeah,
So
somebody
AJ
on the
just
beaches
followed.
of Brazil. One day, Paulo Costa was drowning, and Brock Lesnar came, and he was a young kid, and he pulled out Paulo Costa out of the water, and he gave him mouth to mouth, and because of that mouth to mouth, Paulo Costa is
What
like,
the hell are you talking
it
about?
was just like some rant that went on, man, about he transferred his
none
like
of you guys
TRT
watch-
steroids.
What kind of
whatever.
weirdo fantasies are you having about
that's
Brock
just-
Lesnar and Paulo Costa?
Dude,
Where
that's
are you getting this from?
From you, man. You sent me to that link. Remember that online stuff that you told me to go to?
Reddit?
Yes, exactly. I
That
read it on
online
Reddit.
stuff. You told me to go to Reddit.
Yeah, it was Dave's fault, man. He brought me to Reddit. He goes, go to Reddit. And then I went on there and I started putting stuff about Ringside
Okay.
Report. And then someone said I was spamming. And then
Oh man, you were spamming on Reddit
wasn't
about
spamming,
Ringside
man.
Report?
they said spammy.
You're
You're
a
spamming. I'm like,
master
what does that mean?
spammer. You're a master spammer.
So I read the Reddit thing, and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And then I found out it was a joke.
we need
and
to
it's Dave's fault. It's not my fault.
RingsideReport.net.
How is it my fault that you can't interpret Reddit?
But you told me to go there. I'm still trying to figure out that Reddit. It's so confusing, man. I thought it was all real news, man.
What the hell is the matter with you?
Didn't you see the comment
Wait,
from like,
wait. You thought Reddit was real news?
Yeah.
I want to know what did you read that made you say, "Oh, this ain't all real news"? Like, what was the one thing that made you say, "Oh, I think I was wrong"?
It was
there."
the comment from the guy saying, "Well, this is complete bullcrap." That really happened with Brock Lesnar and Paulo Costa. It's like this is just a joke. I'm like, oh man, it almost sounded real.
You're why fake news works.
Yeah, hashtag fake news. I totally believe that. That was a pure classic example.
You know
of
what I
fake
mean?
news.
Like when I see things that make no sense, I'm like, yeah, okay, this
So
is
why'd you
obviously
bring me there?
fake. People are doing fake stories. This is nonsense. Your ability to decipher what's real and what's not is not the same as mine.
Because I thought you were
It
sending me
takes
to
you
a
a while.
legit like
You're quite
site.
gullible, AJ.
See, that should be another podcast. Every week we find a
AJ is right.
internet subject for AJ to.
Is that still on?
go
AJ is
on.
right?
AJ's always wrong.
No.
We're not doing it this
We're not
week.
doing it. Ah, too bad.
No. But yeah, AJ.
Special chocolate chip cookies by David Simon.
Yes.
Baked by him. God knows what's in here.
I gave you some cookies before the show that you're eating.
They're really good.
So enjoy that, AJ. That's for you, buddy.
They're good.
Wow. So you believe that Brock Lesnar Paulo Costa story?
I didn't
That's
really
good.
believe it in a sense, but I'm like, it could be possible. He's much older.
I never even heard it. Like I don't even know what you're talking about.
just a bad joke.
It's just
That was
a
gonna
thread
make it
on
better.
Reddit. It's a thread on Reddit that he misinterpreted. It's beautiful. Another classic
Just see
AJ
the rest
moment.
of the stuff that I saw was ridiculous. But the best was the spam thing. Like you're spammy. I'm like,
Only on Ringside Report Radio do you get this type of stuff.
And we're legit.
AJ.
And we are legit at times. What happened, Dave? Don't choke up, man.
Sorry, you got me. You got me beat up here. I'm just losing it. My goodness.
Hey, what happened? We can't see the YouTube thing anymore.
Don't worry, AJ. We're still recording on YouTube. We're still on the air on TSN 690. We're everywhere. We're on podcasts. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play,
Montreal,
Apple Music,
Apple Podcasts,
Montreal,
Ringside Report Radio, Wrestling Uncensored.
Trois-Rivières,
Of course,
Ireland,
RingsideReport.net.
Toronto,
all over
Florida.
the world. You don't have to just keep naming places where the internet exists.
No, man, these are people that actually put comments on our stuff. Or
the space station probably has also internet.
Space.
They do. Hey, did you hear about that face recognition thing that's going on now in New York City? Like, they automatically are able to recognize a face and be able to tag it to who it is.
They're doing that like with the public cameras?
Exactly. You heard about it?
No, but that's distressing a little bit.
It's not really surprising.
It's not surprising, but it's a little bit annoying.
Well,
I don't want them doing that.
When they put if
they're going to start doing that here if they're not already.
They probably are, but think about the confusion. Like you got Matt Serra walking in the park.
They're tracking you even if you're outside.
That's where they're doing it. So that's what I was gonna say. Imagine Matt Serra walking through New York and everything, and all of a sudden he gets tagged as Pitbull.
I'm actually imagining.
I mean, it could happen, man. They kind of look the same.
They don't really.
They do.
You kind of look like Pitbull.
I do. I thought you were gonna say like Matt Serra.
If you take your hat off. You kind of look like Pitbull with the hat off. You never take your hat off.
Pitbull.
You never take your hat off. And when you do, it's always like, oh, that's a different guy. That's jiu-jitsu, AJ.
It is,
That's the dangerous AJ.
But I was going to go somewhere
You're
else.
like much more friendly with the hat on. You take the hat off, it's like, oh, man, that guy would kick your ass.
With all these new cameras, maybe AJ's new girlfriend would, work for whatever it is, the NSA, whatever, and
maybe she
just
does.
follow AJ everywhere.
It's not a bad idea.
It's been a tough week.
We should follow AJ everywhere.
Maybe that's needed.
Has it been a tough week, AJ? Let's talk about your tough week when we come back. We got to take a short little pause here.
Thank you, Lord.
On Ringside Report Radio on TSN 690. Never a pause on YouTube. We'll be right back in a second on YouTube. And what else do we have, AJ, coming up on the show? We're going to talk about Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
He officially retired, I guess, from the UFC, or is it another fake retirement? Is this another
McGregor thing?
McGregor, George St. Pierre negotiation retirement. We'll get to that when we come back. It is Ringside Report Radio, Montreal's only MMA show. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's Ringside Report Radio, Ringside Report on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe. youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Go there, like and subscribe, leave a comment. It is very much appreciated to continue doing what we're doing, continuing to bring groundbreaking content to you. This is a first here, boys. The first time ever that Ringside Report Radio is not only on TSN 690, but is also a video version on our YouTube channel. So if you like this show, you want to see what it looks like when we're doing this show, go to the YouTube channel and you will see from the Ringside Report headquarters this show and how it's all done.
Dave, I'm going to tell you something. Most people on radio can't see like these cool graphics that you have on YouTube, but if everybody on YouTube could see it, man, it's pretty cool, man. You're a master at this. Who's controlling this?
Not just graphics, but we also have multi-camera setups.
What? Wow, look at that.
Sure, where do I watch?
Hey, we're over here. We're over here. Right
we're
here.
there?
Hey. Yeah, we're everywhere.
Where am I?
We have multi-cam setups going on, and we have a lot going on here.
And we
AJ.
just lost the feed too. That's awesome.
No. We never lose the feed. Everything's good. Everything is well connected. And we're also on TSN 690, so it's just great to be everywhere. Video, audio, Ringside Report Radio, Ringside Report is changing in a major way.
It's probably going to open up a lot of opportunities. You already do a lot of post shows. Let's see all of the possibilities we'll have with this now.
Yeah, let's see where this takes us. We're already doing a lot of these post shows on our YouTube channel, like Fred mentioned. I'm going to be live after, let's see, Money in the Bank. Ooh. Of course, a lot of pro wrestling coverage. You want to come over for Money in the Bank?
When is it, by the way? I like the money part.
It's in a couple of weeks.
Money in the Bank is one of the good ones, but I'm not going to say unfortunately, but my girlfriend's birthday's the same day, so I won't be there.
So what's the date?
May 19th.
Oh, there you go. May 19th.
Skip it. Can't just skip
Fred knows. Good thing you knew the date of that. That's good.
I'm on the other side going, skip it, you know?
Yeah,
don't listen to me. Whatever you do, don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't listen to you.
No. Unless you want to get in trouble.
So why was your week so difficult?
Wow, like the whole week.
Speaking of you and relationships and everything, you know?
Pipe down, Dave. What
do you mean pipe down?
Down.
We revealed that you have a girlfriend. You were talking about your week being difficult. Is there anything you want to reveal on the show tonight? Or do you want to talk about Brock Lesnar? What do you want to do?
Can we do close-ups on AJ?
We could, yeah, technically.
Like that's the next thing we got to bring in.
The AJ close-up? The AJ close-up cam?
So you can see the sweat beating off my forehead?
I think technically we could do, we could do
that's
Look how red my cheeks are, man. Look at my ears.
That's not a bad idea, actually, to have the second camera just pointed at AJ, just pointing things at AJ. Really putting AJ on the spot. That's part of what Ringside Report Radio does. AJ, we put you on the spot. So you were talking about how hard your week was, and we said that after the break, we would talk about why.
Well, this is what I'm going to say quickly without saying too much. Number one, I haven't practiced anything in 2.5 weeks. No jiu-jitsu, no wrestling, no boxing, no weights, no cardio in any form, no Zumba. And I'm going to tell you something, okay? It's a good thing. Take that, man. That's terrible. Look how red I look. But the thing is that, you know, if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't be able to do 2 weeks of like up and down with boxes. Because I can tell you one thing, Muscles Marco, and thanks to Johnny North who came, they helped me out a lot.
Johnny North and Muscles Marco helped you do what?
Yeah,
move.
They were helping me.
So you were moving.
I was
with who?
Quiet.
You were moving with Johnny North and Muscles Marco.
Exactly.
No, he's not moving.
It's like Three's Company. Well, that'd be an awesome like.
I mean, I did kind of mention the girlfriend part, and we did say moving. Like, what? Why are we tiptoeing around, AJ? At this point,
just jump in it.
All I could say is
you're already there. So
my ears are like starting to flare up here.
You all right?
Yeah, they are.
I'm nervous.
I'm getting a little nervous here, man. Do you notice? Look at the neck.
You're getting all red. Yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, man.
Let's get back to Brock Lesnar.
Brock, thank you.
So,
who's a meat eater?
We thought Brock Lesnar was going to fight again in the UFC.
Everybody thought so, for sure.
Brock Lesnar showed up last July after Daniel Cormier beat Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight championship. Brock Lesnar comes into the octagon, says a couple words to DC, and pushes Daniel Cormier halfway across the cage. Security comes in, and Dana White and the UFC, they say, yeah, we're going to do Brock versus DC.
Makes sense.
But it doesn't materialize. They're trying to get Brock, and Brock's still in the WWE, and they're waiting for Brock. And then at a certain point, Brock says, okay, I want to come back and fight, and he starts getting drug tested again. And it seemed like we were in the process of having Brock Lesnar come back to the UFC. And now Dana White says that Brock told him that he wanted to retire. This is what Dana White says. We haven't heard Brock say that exactly. And Brock Lesnar's not going to fight Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is going to be fighting Stipe Miocic later this year.
And I called that. I think that's
when's that fighting? When's that fight happening?
August 17th.
August 17th.
Yeah, August 17th in California. So, look, that's the most logical fight of all. That should be a rematch. It's going to be awesome. It's probably be Cormier's last fight. He'll probably retire after that. It would have been awesome to see Brock Lesnar. But you know what? Brock is unpredictable, right?
Like you basically said everything that I had in my head.
What?
It's an awesome fight. I agree. I'll love to see Daniel Cormier versus Stipe, but I would have wanted to see Brock. I wanted to see Brock one last time. It's unfortunate that, I guess what, no deal. Because like right now, there's either two possibilities. The way I see it, it's either that Brock and the UFC can't get to a financial terms, or the other one is maybe there's some issues with USADA, but from what I've read, there's no problems there for the moment. Brock seems to be in order. So why Dana again? Why aren't we getting this fight? We want this fight.
But that's the thing. You're on the money there, because the problem is that it's not Dana White. It's like the UFC and the pay-per-views. The pay-per-views, basically, certain fighters got so many points, especially a big name like Brock Lesnar. They're not getting the money on the pay-per-view fights like in the past. So with the new ESPN deal and all this going through, it's the end of big money fights. And Brock Lesnar's a big name. Worldwide, WWE, UFC, the guy, if he's going to fight, he should deserve to get what his name brings, right? But right now, he's not getting that anymore. UFC has taken away his money as well as everybody else's money.
Because of the pay-per-views.
Absolutely.
So because of the new pay-per-view system, and they're not selling that many pay-per-views.
I disagree.
Here's what seems to be the issue. Brock wanted, according to Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer, Brock wanted a certain amount of money, a flat rate. He didn't want to get paid based off pay-per-view revenue, because Brock's thinking was that pay-per-view revenue is maybe not all that important anymore because of the way the UFC now has their pay-per-view deal, where you subscribe to ESPN Plus, and if you do that, sometimes they might offer discounts on the pay-per-view. So, if you're getting a percentage of a pay-per-view, and that pay-per-view costs $60, and you get, 2% of the pay-per-view, that's one thing. But what if that pay-per-view costs $40? Well, your 2% becomes way less, and because the UFC is getting money from ESPN to have the pay-per-views on their streaming service, the UFC is still making their money. But the fighters who have this in their contract where they're fighting for a percentage of the pay-per-view, if that pay-per-view costs less, well, they're going to make less. So Brock asking for a higher number at a flat rate, me, depending on the rate, depending how much it costs, right? I mean, if Brock's saying, give me $40 million or whatever, okay, maybe not. But I kind of understand why you might want that as a high-level fighter, because you don't really know what you're going to get on the pay-per-view, and the UFC could decide to, chop the price of the pay-per-view before they air it, and I don't even know if that's really your...
You see,
you get considered, that you're not really in consideration when they do that sometimes.
I'm going to have to research that, because from what I've always understood, the pay-per-view cut of the fighter works for an amount of dollars per pay-per-view, not by percentage, where basically if they're selling over 500,000 pay-per-views, they're getting X dollars a pay-per-view, $5-6 a pay-per-view. Now, if it's based on percentage, those numbers won't make sense for Brock Lesnar. Look, Brock Lesnar should have some type of guarantee. He's big enough name for that. And there's enough money to be made for everybody to, come up to a deal here. So
you would think they'd be able to meet his number.
But look, to me, it's a much ado about nothing. I'll go back to maybe the Dana White and the UFC playing too much hardball with some of these big stars. At some point, the big star is the guy that's generating the money. Can we get they should get their fair share, just like in most other sports.
But Brock has got his fair share. He never complained about his past pay-per-views because he got a good share of pay-per-view sales. The only problem that he has now is that with ESPN and ESPN Plus, he's saying that before it was an open network. In pay-per-views in the United States, 300 plus million in the US.
Well,
you know what I mean? The numbers
to me,
are
ESPN,
much greater. Now you have to be a subscriber of ESPN Plus. So there's a reduced number, and that's his issue.
Right.
So he's looking.
That's what it seems like to me. I don't know. Look, I just want the UFC to give Brock Lesnar his money so we can see Brock Lesnar in the cage. If that's the issue here, they don't want to meet his number. Man, give him what he wants, because I'd like to see Brock Lesnar in DC, because I don't really want to see Stipe in DC again. I
definitely want to see that. Come on.
I don't want to see it as much as I want to see Brock in DC.
But look,
I don't want to see any Stipe Miocic fight more than I want to see any Brock Lesnar fight.
Yeah, but you still...
Brock Lesnar versus whoever, to me, is more compelling than pretty much anybody in the UFC. Like, Brock Lesnar is that type of star.
That's because you're
like,
a wrestling fan.
No.
Most MMA fan will say Stipe is the rightful number one guy.
No, most people will say, I want to see Brock Lesnar fight, and they'll say, who's Stipe Miocic?
What?
What do you mean, what? Who sells pay-per-views? What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about?
Look, no, you're
Brock
right.
Lesnar? Brock Lesnar is a big star. He's one of the biggest draws in the history of the sport. No one knows Stipe Miocic.
So the people outside of the MMA community and the people that like MMA and wrestling are the ones that are disappointed. Because for the most part, MMA fans, I think, will say Stipe would be the rightful number one contender.
Yeah, sure. MMA fans might say that, but I'm an MMA fan, and I say I'd like to see Brock Lesnar fight DC because that's a fun fight, and I've seen Stipe fight DC before. Of course I'm going to watch the Stipe fight. Of course I love Stipe Miocic. He's a great fighter. He is the greatest heavyweight champion the UFC's ever had. However, I saw him get knocked out by DC not that long ago, and he hasn't fought since. I don't like to see guys lose a title fight and then have the champion go on, defend the title against Derek Lewis, and then, Stipe just waits for a rematch. I don't like that. I wanted Stipe to fight in the interim, and I honestly wanted to see Brock Lesnar get the shot instead because Brock Lesnar's
not here.
He's a different challenge. It's more fun.
Brock Lesnar's not here. What do you do for Cormier?
Stipe,
man.
No,
Stipe, of course.
That's why I had to move away. I was choking there.
Stipe's a great backup.
Exactly.
Sure, he's a great backup, but I'm mad that the UFC didn't want to pay Brock Lesnar his money. I'm mad that the UFC is giving us Khabib Nurmagomedov and Dustin Poirier instead of George St. Pierre and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm mad that the UFC wants to stick Conor McGregor in a co-main event spot on a pay-per-view, and they can't get him to fight in the octagon. I'm mad because the best fighters, or maybe not the best fighters, but the biggest draws and the most exciting guys to see and the fan favorites aren't fighting in the UFC. I'm mad because I haven't seen the Diaz brothers in years.
I agree with you, Dave. You're absolutely right.
I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of, another big star from the UFC. Negotiations fell through and, he's never fighting again. Like, how many times are we going to sit here and talk about fighters that are never fighting again because negotiations fell through with the company?
Go, Dave.
Like,
Pull it out.
How long is this going to go on for?
Go, Dave.
Am I wrong?
Fred, jump in, man.
Like,
Say
it's
something.
just constantly happening. Every big star in the sport is retiring because the UFC's making them because they won't give them the money or the fight or whatever that they want.
You're right.
Once in a while, just give them what they want, man.
You know what?
I'm sure Dana White would come on here and be like, you idiot, I give them what they want all the time. Yeah, well, a lot of these big fighters...
We're not getting what we want.
Yeah, we're not getting what we want. And I'll go back to that interview that Dana White was doing a couple of months ago after a pay-per-view, and Nate Diaz was in the corner of one of his fighters there, and Dana's getting interviewed, and Nate Diaz walks by, right? And he shakes Dana's hand. Hey, what's up, Dana? And the interviewer, she goes, hey, Nate, when are we going to see you back in the cage? And he's like, real soon, we're coming back. And she turns to Dana and she's like, Dana, when are we going to see Nate back in the octagon? He's like, I don't think we're going to see him again. No, it's not happening. It's like, what? Why? What do you? And then there's no follow-up why, because she works for the UFC. She's not going to press him on that. But like, come
it was
on,
the same
man.
thing with George. George doesn't want to fight. Yeah. I don't think George wants to fight.
Well, Brock Lesnar told me he retires from MMA. That's the latest one. That's the latest one that Dana brought us. Brock Lesnar told me he retired from MMA. When I heard Dana say that, and then you're hearing reports that, there's money that Brock wasn't given, I honestly at first thought, yeah, it makes sense because he's going to get tons of money from the WWE, and I get it. The WWE is going to pay him way more money than the UFC is willing to. I just wish the UFC was willing to pay him more money.
Look,
I wish the UFC was willing to give in to some of these big name fighters a little bit more often, so we got to see them in the cage. The only reason we're seeing John Jones so much is because, you know, he needs to fight because he needs money because he hasn't fought in so long, you know? But once he gets money...
He needs it for his picogram. So listen to this. This is what I'm saying from now on. You're right, Dave.
Yeah, just say that from now on. You're right,
I'm going to say why you're right. I'm going to say why you're right. Because we heard it with George, I'm retiring. And you said, again, we brought it up many times. You asked him that question, and the first thing he said is, I would come back. Why? It's based on money. He didn't get the contract. He didn't get what he wanted.
He didn't get the fight he wanted.
He didn't get the fight he wanted and the money that came with it, for sure. Conor McGregor said he's retiring. And technically, we still don't know if he's off the fence or on the fence, if he's retired. We don't know, really.
But in the case of Brock Lesnar, it's a money issue, because in the case of George St. Pierre, Dana White's basically scared that George is going to hold up a division, retire as a champion, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So what is it with Brock Lesnar? Is it because he's scared that if he beats Cormier, he's going to go back to WWE? What is it? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It seems to be a money issue. I think it's like Brock wants a certain amount of money and the UFC is not willing to pay him. I don't know how much money Brock could be asking for that the UFC
it's the pay-per-view,
wouldn't be willing to meet.
No, at the same time, Brock Lesnar probably has some good agents that are like, hey, we could get this number. Like, we need to hold up for this number.
Yeah.
And, you know, the UFC on their side, they're like, oh, we could pay up to this.
And by the way, that agent is not Paul Heyman, despite what a lot of people think.
Like, with the suitcase.
Yeah, people are like, does Paul Heyman really do the negotiation? I'm like, no. Like, what are you talking about?
It'd
it's
be pro
cool,
wrestling,
actually. Man.
Wouldn't that be cool if he did show up to the negotiations?
My client, Brock Lesnar. You know, come on now.
And
Ridiculous.
Brock just saying nothing. But look, Dave, again, I'm going to say one more thing that you're right about, is that the ones that lose the most, and like you said, Fred, as well, is the fans are losing here. As a fan, for sure I want to see Brock Lesnar fight, but as an MMA sports guy who's knowledgeable about the sport, who loves it as a legitimate sport, I want to take away from celebrities fighting kind of stuff where it's based on your numbers and, who you are.
These fights
but Stipe is the guy.
Stipe is the guy now, but
these fights not being made are slowing the growth of the business to me.
I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah, because look, remember boxing. Everybody wanted to see Mayweather and Pacquiao. It took so long. Both guys were too old once it happened. I don't want this to happen to MMA, where guys are just fighting like past their prime. We get to see the fight that we want 3 years later. Like, come on, man. Let's get this done. But let's
look at it this way. You're right. Look, we've had 3 fight nights before the last pay-per-view. And these 3 fight nights... Tomorrow's going to be 151, I believe. Yeah. So whatever. These last 3 have been amazing, amazing cards. We can all agree on that. So if you're watching this,
they've been
being
good.
on ESPN Plus, the real winner right now is ESPN Plus.
They've
banged out some
deal.
amazing cards where people are not like looking at the big name. They're looking at, wow, these are some really good fights.
Sure, AJ, I'm not going to deny that these ESPN cards have been good. They've been good for ESPN. They've been good for the UFC. The ESPN deal is working real well for the UFC. I'm not sure how it's working for the UFC fighters.
Well, I think I don't see why it wouldn't work for the fighters. To me, if they have the type of contracts that say they're getting X amount from pay-per-views, well, to me, the online platforms is the future. That's where, like, there might be an adjustment period, and maybe that's why Brock is not really keen to coming back right now.
And
you know, he's a little scared. But I think in a couple of years, we're going to look back and say this is the right decision.
And I'm not sure if it is a percentage of the pay-per-views or a dollar amount. Like, sometimes you get...
I think it's dollar amount.
I think it's dollars.
Yeah, but from what I've been reading, it's the other way. It's percentage. That's what I'm reading. It's a percentage.
I always heard it was dollar amount.
If it is a percentage, right? Like, if you get a percentage and the thing costs less, you get less. But if it's like you get $2 from every pay-per-view sold... It doesn't change. The UFC could charge $10 for it. You're still going to get $2 from everything they sell.
Yeah,
right?
but they're guaranteed the amount, regardless if it's a flop or not by ESPN. With the new contract, the pay-per-views are guaranteed amount. Whatever that pay-per-view is supposed to make, they're getting it. So the UFC wins no matter what. So if they win, the fighters should win, and they should get a percentage based on is it a flop or not.
I could see Brock being scared of the transition to this, but if I were advising him, if I was Paul Heyman, I would just tell him, don't worry. The internet is the future.
It is.
Look, Canelo signed for like several $100 million with the Zone, DAZN, whatever. You know, these are WWE Network. That's not going away. That's the future. Like, so
you're right.
There's an adjustment period and all that, but ESPN Plus is the future for MMA right now.
It's like us now. We're like on TSN and we're on YouTube Live. I mean, the thing is that you're right, Fred. And I keep going back to the biggest shock of all YouTube was seeing that Logan Paul bring in 1.5 million subscribers.
You're really obsessed with that.
I am, because that opened up my mind to when my nephew called me and he said, listen, you got to watch this. He's the best fighter in the world. I'm like,
for a while, I thought he was like related to that guy that played in Breaking Bad.
Which guy?
Aaron Paul.
No.
But then I found out that he wasn't, so.
Well, Paul Logan, the actor, wasn't too happy about like us calling him out, which we made a mistake. It wasn't Paul Logan, it was Logan Paul. And Paul, I know he listens to us in
Ottawa.
Hollywood.
Let's preview UFC Ottawa.
Yeah, let's
stop
do
talking
Ottawa.
about Logan Paul.
Our Canadian
right?
guys.
Let's
Who do you
get to
wanna go
some
with?
real business here, boys. You know, so DC's gonna fight Stipe. Anybody picking Stipe? I got DC to win again.
You're talking about Cerrone right now.
No. I'm talking about before we move on to Ottawa in a second. Like just before we stop talking about DC and Stipe, just to wrap that up.
Daniel Cormier.
Like, is anybody picking somebody other than Daniel Cormier?
Look, I'm going to go this way. I think
You're gonna go the wrong way again, AJ.
AJ
right,
is
go for
always
it.
right.
AJ's always
And
wrong.
I'm going to say
Here
that
we go.
Stipe, it just was an off fight for him. I love Cormier. I think he's like the best representative of MMA, in all aspects.
But you think he's gonna lose to Stipe Miocic in a rematch?
We
I
need a
think he's-
logo
yeah.
right
Even
now.
though he got knocked out last time.
We need the logo saying AJ
AJ's
will
always wrong.
Or we'll probably be wrong on this one also.
No, you know what?
We'll clip just this part,
let's
put
not
it on
forget,
YouTube.
It's Stipe. Let's not forget who it is.
It's Iaquinta.
It's Cormier.
Yeah, it's D freaking C. So Iaquinta taking on Donald Cerrone in the main event tomorrow night, UFC Ottawa. Do we have like an early start time for this thing? How late
I
is
think
this?
it's 8 p.m. for the main card.
Oh, that's good.
at least they
8
start
or 9
earlier.
p.m.
That's a good thing
excellent.
with the fight nights and ESPN. They start earlier.
A little bit
It
less
makes so much-
commercials
Yeah,
also
it's
on
awesome.
ESPN Plus. So.
They're putting on a good show. That's for sure.
So we have a lot of Canadians on this
Man.
card. I'm pretty excited about many of these fights.
Canada.
It's going to be pretty cool. Iaquinta, Donald Cerrone is the main event. Neither of those guys are Canadian, but the rest of the card is pretty much all Canada, and it's really exciting because I know a lot of these guys. We've had them on the show, and
It's actually
we've seen
interesting.
them fight so many times here locally and in the UFC.
But Dave, we saw Cerrone
cool.
fight in Ottawa the last time we were there together.
Yeah, I've seen Cerrone fight a couple of times.
It was against Pat Cote, I think, that fight. And
Yeah, I
that
was
was
at that
awesome.
fight, yeah.
That was, I think, Cote, that was his first TKO.
I saw
or
Cerrone
got
fight
TKO.
Cote. No, he lost to
yeah, he lost. Cote
Cerrone.
lost.
Yeah. I saw Cerrone. He fought. Who did he fight at the Ultimate Fighter finale? Oh no, that wasn't Cerrone. That was somebody else.
Not sure.
I don't know. I've seen.
But you got to
Cerrone
give it to
fight-
Cerrone.
I
He's
think,
so many
Cerrone
fights.
has like 30. How many UFC fights?
I don't know. He's
Cerrone-
fought so many
He's
times.
30 fights right now, 22-8.
22. Oh, wow. I just took a guess and I
Yeah,
won.
yeah. You're.
I should
Listen
go-
to Fred.
I should gamble.
That's it. Listen to Fred.
I'm going, number must be around 30 for the guy with the most fights.
But still, that's an awesome fight night card to as a main
It's a
card.
great main event.
Sure.
Cerrone, Iaquinta. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to go with Iaquinta. He's
What?
always tough.
But
I'm going
mind
to
you-
pick him to cause a little surprise. It's a great fight. I love Cerrone also. Hey, people were like going today, does the winner fight Conor McGregor?
That's what
it's
they're
a
saying.
possibility. Like if Conor
Possibility.
McGregor comes back, the winner
I don't
of
know.
That's what they're saying.
I think
Dave.
it's a smart matchup for Conor. Like you look, we've been talking for weeks about Conor not wanting more of Habib. Conor should want to fight a guy like Cerrone or Iaquinta.
He's got a point there. He's got a point.
It's not a bad matchup for Conor. I think it would be a good fight for him. I just don't know. I don't know if that's the fight for Conor when he comes back.
Habib would destroy him. GSP would destroy him.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah,
a
maybe
fight,
it is.
only fight
Maybe
that
it
makes
is.
sense. Maybe more would be Nate Diaz because there's more money to be made. But other
Yeah.
than that, Cerrone, Iaquinta, Good choices.
I think Conor and Cerrone makes sense. Conor and Iaquinta,
Well, look,
that could work too. Who do you guys think
Khabib.
is going to win tomorrow? Cerrone's coming off that really impressive win over that Hernandez guy.
Yeah, that was a good
Alex
one.
Hernandez, and people were kind of counting Cerrone out, and he's looked fantastic. Iaquinta's very good. This is a 5-round fight. I could see this one going all 5 rounds. These guys are tough. These guys are both tough to put away.
Someone's getting knocked out.
Sometimes Cerrone gets put away quickly. Like, sometimes Cerrone is, like, not himself in there. You know? Like, he fights so often, and you've seen different versions of Donald Cerrone. There's a version of Donald Cerrone that seems nearly unbeatable at 155 pounds. And then there's another version of Donald Cerrone that has shown up in like the.
But that's the problem.
What was it? The Pettis fight.
Yeah, he fluctuates.
The Nate Diaz fight. You know, he just got dominated. The Rafael Dos Anjos fight.
Yeah, but he changed his weight category too. So let's look at that.
I mean, he's got so many big wins, and he's been very good. But I feel like when he's stepped up in competition, he has struggled. Lost to
But
Matt.
still, Cerrone. He's always exciting. Everybody wants to see him fight.
He was
Let's
up
give him
at
credit.
He was up at welterweight, and I don't think that was the spot for him. He lost 3 in a row there to tough guys, but still. And now he's won 2 in a row at lightweight. Like,
it's going to be a good fight.
I think Iaquinta is a winnable fight for him.
Yep.
But it's also a losable fight for him. Like, I'm not sure about this one. I'm
going with Iaquinta, as I said.
It's tough.
Look,
it's a very good fight.
Look, Al beat Kevin Lee, so let's not forget that. So you're going.
Al's
Cerrone,
a solid fighter.
Cerrone's the underdog, like plus 100. Iaquinta minus 110. It's like almost a pick 'em here.
Yeah, I'm going with Al as well.
I'm gonna go with Iaquinta too. So it's a clean sweep. We're all going with Al Iaquinta here.
I thought I was gonna be alone on that one.
No,
I'm going with Iaquinta.
Yeah. After he fought like Khabib, and he was really impressive on that last fight.
He's very tough.
Is
so
amazing.
you see, like me and you, we just convinced AJ, and next week,
AJ is always right.
When Iaquinta wins, AJ's gonna take credit for it. He's gonna go, "Oh yeah, I was telling you guys," but actually, we just convinced him.
Nah.
Iaquinta has won 6 of his last 7 since 2014.
Impressive, man.
And the only loss is to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he just beat Kevin Lee in his last fight.
Exactly. And he fought really well against Khabib. Exactly. You know that he's a real estate agent? That's what he does on the side?
Yes.
It's amazing. If you don't buy my house, I'll knock you out.
Main eventing a UFC card is not enough money? Come on, Dana.
Fight. He's from, I think he's from Long Island or something.
That ain't normal.
All right, guys.
If I was in a main event, I wouldn't want a second job.
Derek Brunson, Elias Theodorou. We got to go with our man, Elias.
Yeah, that'll be a good fight for him.
Elias is a slight favorite, minus 110. I like Elias Theodorou in that one. Cub Swanson, Shane Burgos, good fight. Walt Harris, Sergey Spivak. I'm more concerned with the Canadian fighters on this.
Yeah.
TKO champion Marc-Andre Barrios is going to open up the main card, taking on Andrew Sanchez.
Wow, that's going to be awesome for us.
And let's see the odds here. Barrio, a slight underdog, plus 160. Sanchez, minus 170. I would go with Marc-Andre Barrio. Yeah. I might go with a little mise au jeu on Marc-Andre tomorrow night.
They obviously don't know him because this guy is one
legit.
Powerful fighter. I mean, his
fighting,
combination of knockout punches is unbelievable.
He's a TKO middleweight and light heavyweight champion, and he's fighting here at middleweight. He is big and powerful. He
aggressive,
is super dangerous.
He likes to get in. Yeah. He doesn't mind getting hit.
I'm going with Marc-Andre Barrio tomorrow night. Watch out for him. Ayman Zahabi takes on Vince Morales. Ayman is a very good fighter. Of course, the brother of Faraz. He's been on the show before. We like Ayman Zahabi very much. He's taking on Vince Morales. He's coming off that knockout loss, his first loss of his career. That was a long time ago. You know, he hasn't fought since, and I think that was really smart.
That was
November 2017.
Yeah, that's a long time.
We're in April 2009 or May of 2019 now. So he took all of 2018 off and a chunk of 2019. That's very smart, though, after taking that type of punishment, and it's good, and I like him as a fighter. He's very, very talented.
But that spinning elbow, that's the thing. He got a nasty spinning elbow that was probably one of the nastiest knockouts of 2017.
It was scary.
And the thing is that Ayman is like, he was actually on a winning streak just before that. So credit to him, and I think he'll win tomorrow.
All right. Nordine Taleb well on this card. He takes on Kyle Propolic. Nordine was supposed to fight somebody else, right? This was supposed to be CR Bahadurzada, but he had an injury, so then Propolic comes in. I think he's a Canadian fighter as well. He's going to take on Nordim. And Mitch Gagnon is fighting.
Oh, Mitch.
Haven't seen Mitch Gagnon in a while. December 2016 for the UFC in Toronto is the last time we saw Mitch Gagnon. I remember watching him, a great fighter here on the local scene. He's, I think he's from Sudbury, Ontario, but he fought a lot. He was a champion for Ringside MMA back in the day. Man, that was in like 2010. Shows how long we've been covering this sport, right? Remember Mitch Gagnon way back when, and now he's back. So glad to see Mitch Gagnon getting a fight here. We got to wrap things up. We are short on time. Follow AJ on Twitter at Danny Bruck, on Instagram at Danny Bruck. Follow Fred at Freddy MMA. You can follow me at Dave Simon MMA on Twitter and Instagram. RingsideReport.net. Every Friday night here on TSN 690. I'll be back tomorrow night with Wrestling Uncensored and Johnny North.
His big fight tomorrow, man.
That's right. He's got a big match tomorrow night. And we got to wrap things up. For AJ, for Fred, I'm Dave. Check us out on YouTube. YouTube.com/RingsideReport.net. If you want to watch this show, this has been Ringside Report Radio. See ya.